Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna to all devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhar Shirvasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudire nasta prayeshva bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Canto 3, Chapter 13, The Appearance of Lord Varaha. Shri Sukha Uvacha Nisamya Vacham Vadatu Munihi Punya Tamam Nipa Bhuyah Prapachya Kauravyo Vasudeva Kathadritaha.
Purnamataji, would you like to read or Shavi?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hey, Hare Krishna Shavi. Fantastic.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King, after hearing all these most virtuous topics from the sage Maitreya, Vidura inquired further on the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which he adored to hear.
And we're doing up to text number 9, Mataji.
Yes, Vidura Uvacha Savai Swayam Bhuvah Samrat Priyaha Putraha Swayam Bhuvaha Pratilabhya Priyam Patnim Kim Chakara Tatu Muni.
Vidura said, O great sage, what did Swayambhuva, the dear son of Brahma, do after obtaining his very loving wife?
Charitam tasya rajarse adirajasya sattama bruhi me shraddhadhanaya vishvakshenasrayo hiyaso.
O best of the virtues, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them. I am very eager to hear.
Shrutasya pumsam suchirasramasya nanvanjashasuribhiriditothaha tattadgunasu sravanam mukunda padaravindam hidaye suyesham.
Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor, for a long time, must hear from the mouths of pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, who awards his devotees liberation.
Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Brubhanam Viduram Vinitam Sahasrasrisnas Charanopadhanam Praharishtaroma Bhagavat Kathayam Praniyamano Munirabhyachashta.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, was pleased to place his lotus feet on the lap of Vidur, because Vidur was very meek and gentle. The sage Maitreya was very pleased with Vidur's words, and being influenced by his spirit, he attempted to speak.
Maitreya uvacha yadha swabhairya sardham jatah swayambhuvo manuhu pranjalihi pranataschedam vedagarbham abhasata.
The sage Maitreya said to Vidur, after his appearance, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom. Brahma with the Vedic wisdom. Brahma with obeisances and folded hands.
Tvam ekah sarvabhutanam janmakrit vrididah pita tathapi nah prajanam te susrusa kena va bhavet.
You are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service to you, unto you.
Tadvidhehi namastubhyam karmasvidyatma saktisu yat krit vihaya so visvag amutra cha bhavet gatihi.
O worshipful one, please give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity, so that we can follow it for the fame in this life and progress in the next.
Brahmovacha pritastubhyam maham tata swasti stadvam kshitiswara yannirvyalikena hrida sadhimeti atmanarpitam.
Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I am very pleased with you, and I desire all blessings for both you and your wife. You have without reservation surrendered yourself unto me with your heart for my instructions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Shavi, fantastic to hear your wonderful voice. So let's have a quick.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this chapter is called The Appearance of Lord Varaha. So we are going to be into some pastimes of the different avatars. So first 9 verses describes about further inquiries by Vidur from Maitreya Rishi. He wanted to know more about Swayambhu Manu, who is a great devotee of the Lord. Now, Maitreya was very pleased by these inquiries. It's always important to inquire about spiritual life, especially when one has doubts, because doubts can only be cleared by hearing, and hearing is very important. Hearing is regarded to be the beginning, first step towards bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So hearing is very important. How can you hear? When you ask. When you ask a question, you hear the answer. So Maitreya was pleased, and he explained that after they appeared from Brahma, him, Swayambhu Manu and his wife, so that's Swayambhu Manu and his wife, who appeared from Brahma, they approached Brahma, their father, to ask how they can serve him. So this is a wonderful duty of the children, to always inquire from the parents, how can I serve you? Because the debt that is owed to the parents cannot be repaid. And unfortunately, there's a lack of understanding in this world on that point. But the Vedic scriptures were very clear. Matri Deva Bhava, Pitri Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, and Atithi Deva Bhava. Those 4 niyams or 4 principles were in place a long time back. And there's a reason for that, because without the blessings of the elders, and especially the parents, there's something very badly wrong, missing in the life of a child. So the debt which is owed to the parents can never be repaid. And one can try to do a little bit of seva for the parents. And that's what this sort of series of verses are encouraging, that one should try to do some service, at least inquire, what can I do for you, sir? Of course, in this culture, the position of parents is very, very much neglected. And of course, our children unfortunately learn from the culture in this world, in this part of the world, because we're living in this part of the world. But what to do? In one sense, our ultimate aim is to go back to the spiritual world. Any attachment will keep us in this world. We have children and we attach to them, we'll stay in this world. Simple as that. So sometimes it's better to have no affection, no attachment. And sometimes if the children behave perhaps in not such a nice way, that's actually not a bad thing. It's actually a very, very good thing. And why is it a good thing? Because Krishna is breaking that tie of attachment. And that tie of attachment, if we're not careful, will keep us here. So we should never, should not worry if our children don't treat us right. Doesn't matter. Actually, it's better if they don't treat us right. Treat us right. Because then at least you can sever the attachment. And then the connection with Krishna becomes much stronger. So it's not a bad thing. But of course, we don't encourage the children to be bad because the duty of the children is to serve. If you don't serve, well, who's the loser? It's not the parents. So now it's up to text number 16, please.
Yes. एतावती आत्मजैर्वीर कार्या हि अपचितिर्गुरो शक्त्या प्रमाते गृह्येत सादरं गतमत्सरैः.
O hero, your example is quite befitting a son in relationship with his father. This sort of adoration for the superior is required. One who is beyond the limit of envy and who is sane accepts the orders of his father with great delight and executes it to his full capacity.
सत्वम् अस्याम् अपत्न्यानि सदृशानि आत्मनो गुणैः उत्पाद्य सा सधर्मेण गाम्यान्ये पुरुषं यज.
Since you are my very obedient son, I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in the womb of your wife. Rule the world in pursuance of the principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord by performances of yajna.
परं शुश्रूषणं मह्यं स्यात् प्रजारक्षया नृप भगवांस्ते प्रजा भर्तुर्हृषिकेशो नुतुष्यति.
O King, if you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you.
येषां न तुस्तो भगवान् यज्ञलिङ्गो जनार्दनः तेषां श्रमो हि अपार्थाय यदात्मानादृतः स्वयम्.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not sacrificed, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests.
मनुरुवाच आदेसेऽहं भगवतो वर्तयामि वसुदन स्थानं त्वयिहानुजानीहि प्रजानां मम च प्रभो.
Sri Manu said, O all-powerful Lord, O killer of all sins, I shall abide by your order. Now please let me know my place and that of living entities born of me.
यद् उकः सर्वभूतानां महीमज्ञा महाम्भषी अस्या उदाहरणे यत्नो देवदेव्या विधीयताम्.
O Master of the demigods, please attempt to lift the earth, which is merged in the great water, because it is the dwelling place for all the living entities. It can be done by your endeavor and by the mercy of the Lord.
You might be muted, Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu. मैत्रेय उवाच परमेष्ठित्वा अपामध्ये तथासनामवीक्ष्य गां कथमेनां समुन्निस्य इति दध्यो धिया चिरम्.
Sri Maitreya said, thus, seeing the earth merged in the water, Brahma gave his attention for a long time to how it could be lifted.
Wonderful, thank you. So pleased with his son, Swayambhava Manu, Brahma asked him to beget children. That was ultimately what Brahma had to do, which was procreate or populate the world. And he created many, many children to do that. Some disobeyed him. The 4 Kumaras, for example, they were the firstborn of Brahma. But he said to them, procreate. And they said no. And he cursed them, okay, you're going to remain children forever. And they were happy because they didn't want to get entangled in this work. But to Swayambhava Manu, he asked him to beget children, rule the world and worship the Lord through yajna. Manu should protect the living entities and thus please the Lord. And this one verse, text number 13, very, very important verse. Brahma explained the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore, who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. So somehow or other in this life, we have this opportunity that we can examine everything we do and question, is this going to please my dear Lord? And if it's not going to please the Lord, then we need to think again whether we adjust ourselves. But this is our opportunity to perform activities which will please the Lord. And the devotees of the Lord, they dovetail their life. Every act is an act of yajna. for the Lord. It's an act of sacrifice for the Lord. And that is how they perfect their lives. Whether they're walking, talking, thinking, even sleeping, eating, bathing, at any moment, they're simply focused on the Supreme Lord, trying to please Him. Even bathing. My Guru Maharaj, for example, when he bathed, he would remember all of the holy rivers and holy places in Bharat. So his bath was a yagya. We can dovetail everything we do and connect it to the Supreme Lord. That connection will please Him. Anything that's not connected, we're neglecting our own interest, like it says here. We're neglecting our own interest. So somehow, I mean, it's not easy, of course, because our whole life we've been used to sense enjoyment and me and mine. You know, our mood is very selfish. And to amend that, adjust that is obviously not going to be easy. But we have to make the effort. And if we make a small effort, if we make an effort, the Lord will reciprocate and He will assist us in our efforts to satisfy Him. Who are we to please the Lord? What can we do to possibly make Him smile? Nothing. But if He helps us in our activities, in our endeavors, then anything is possible. And He'll only help if He sees we're making an effort. If we see as we're not making any effort, okay, He'll reciprocate. That's what He says in the Bhagavad Gita. I will reciprocate according to how my devotee, how people react to, how they would want to reciprocate with me, I will reciprocate back with them. So if we ignore Him, He'll ignore us. It's natural. That's the way it works. So the idea is we make an attempt. That's all we have to do, make a good attempt. And the rest is His mercy. So now it's up to text number 25.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Where are you? Okay, there you are.
श्रीजतोमीक्षितिर्वार्भिः प्लाव्यमानारसां गता अथात्र किमनुस्थेयम् अस्माभिः सर्गयोजितैः यस्याहं हृदयादासं स ईशो विदधातु मे.
Brahma thought, why?
Sorry.
Sorry. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do? What can we do who are
Yeah, something is missing there, but it's okay, we read.
What can we do who are engaged in this manner of creation? In this matter of creation, it is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us.
Thank you. Excellent. Mataji, you might be muted.
Yes, Prabhuji. So,
It's okay.
इति अभिध्यायतो नासा विवरात् सहसा नघ वराहतो को निरगात् अंगुष्ठ परिमाणकः.
O sinless Vidur, all of a sudden, while Brahma was engaged in thinking, a small form of a boar came out of his nostril. The measurement of the creature was not more than the upper portion of a thumb.
तस्याभिपश्यतः खष्टः क्षणेन किल भारत गजमात्रः प्रववृद्धे तद् अद्भुतम् अभून्महत्.
O descendant of Bharat, while Brahma was observing him, that boar came situated in the sky in a wonderful manifestation as gigantic as a great elephant.
मरीचि प्रमुखे विप्रैः कुमारै मनुना सह दृष्ट्वा तत्सौकरं रूपं तर्कयामास चित्रधा.
Struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great Brahmins like Marichi, as well as the Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways.
किम् एतत् सुकर व्याजं सद्वं दिव्यम् अवस्थितम् अहो बताश्चर्यम् इदं नासायामे विनिर्हिसृतम्.
Is this some extraordinary entity, common pretense of a boar? It is very powerful that he has come out of from my nose.
दृष्टोऽङ्गुष्ठशिरो मात्रः क्षणाद् गन्धशिलासमः अपि स्वेद्भगवानेश यन्यो मे खेदयन्मनः.
First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of a thumb, and within a moment he was as large as a stone. My mind is perturbed. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu?
इति मीमां सतस्तस्य ब्रह्मणः सह सुनुभिः भगवान् यज्ञपुरुषो जगर्जागेन्द्रसनिभः.
While Brahma was deliberating with his sons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, roared tumultuously like a great mountain.
ब्रह्माणं हर्षयामास हरिस्तांश्च द्विजोत्तमान् स्वगर्जितेन ककुभः प्रतिस्वनयता विभुः.
The omnipotent Supreme Personality of Godhead enlivened Brahma and the other highly elevated Brahmins by again roaring with his uncommon voice, which echoed in all directions.
निशम्यते घर्घरितं स्वखेद क्षायिष्णुमायामयसूकरस्य जनस्तपः सत्यनिवासिनस्ते त्रिभिः प्रवीत्रे मुनयो गृह्णन् स्म.
When the great sages and thinkers, who are the residents of Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok, heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Boar, which was the auspicious sound of the all-merciful God, they chanted auspicious chants from the three Vedas.
Brilliant, beautifully read. So, and this is now the pastime of Lord Varaha. The earth was underwater, had been displaced from its orbit, and Manu asked his father to help lift the earth from this ocean so that Manu and the living entities would have a place to stay. So this is going back to Satya Yuga, and extraordinary as it sounds, the earth was in the ocean. And Brahma and Manu, they were all wondering what to do while contemplating how to do this. The earth is no small object. How do we get it up back into its orbit again? At that moment, from Brahma's nostril appeared Lord Varaha. What an unusual way for the Lord to appear. For from his nostril appeared Lord Varaha. So it's thumb size. But immediately he grew into the Lord's boar form, Varaha, huge, massive form of the Lord. A giant elephant. And that is, when they say giant elephant, it's a huge elephant. Brahma was struck with wonder, and to enliven him and the sages, because everybody was a little depressed at that time, because earth was undergoing difficult time because of the demon, Hiranyaksha, who we'll talk about in a little while, probably. So Lord Varaha, he roared like a mountain, just to encourage everybody. And the sages of Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok, they started chanting the mantras from the 3 Vedas. So these lokas are above even the heavenly planets, Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok. And there reside sages who are engaged in self-realization, meditation, and study of the Vedas, mantras. So they are expert. They can really chant these mantras so beautifully, and that pleases the Lord actually. But it doesn't please the Lord as much as the chasing of Mother Yashoda around the courtyard. So the Lord likes these mantras, but he really gets, his attention really becomes focused when the gopis call out his name, for example, or the cows, the surabis moo in affection towards him. That's what really gets him going. So now it's up to number 33, please, Maraji.
Tesham satam vedavitanamurtir brahmavadharyatmagunanuvadam vinadya bhuyo vibudhodayaya gajendra lilo jalamavivesha.
Playing like an elephant, he entered into the water, after roaring again in reply to the Vedic prayers by the great devotees. The Lord is the object of the Vedic prayers, and thus he understood that the devotees' prayers were meant for him.
Utshiptavalah khacharaha khathoraha sata vidhunvan khararoma sattva khurahatabraha sitadam straiksha jyotir babhase bhagavan mahidraha.
Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew into the sky, slashing his tail, his hard hairs quivering. His very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks.
घ्राणेन पृथिव्याः पदवीं विजिघ्रन् क्रोधापदेशाः स्वयमध्वराङ्गः करालदंस्त्रोऽपि अकरालदृग्भ्याम् उद्वीक्ष्य विप्रान् घृणतो विषत्कम्.
He was personally the Supreme Lord Vishnu and was therefore transcendental. Yet because he had the body of a hog, he searched after the earth by smell. His tusks were fearful, and he glanced over the devotee Brahmins engaged in offering prayers. He thus entered the water.
Savrajrakutanga nipata vega visena kukshihi stanayan udanvan utsrista dighormi bhujeri bhartas chukro sayagneshwara pahimeti.
Diving into the water like a giant mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean, and two high waves appeared as the arms of the ocean, which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord, "O Lord of all sacrifices, please do not cut me into two. Kindly give me protection."
Kurekshurapraydarayam stagapa utparaparam triparurasayam dadarshagam tatra susupsuragre yam jivadhanim swayamabhyadhata.
Lord Boar penetrated the water with his hooves, which were like sharp arrows, and found the limits of the ocean, although it was unlimited. He saw the earth, the resting place for all living beings, lying as if it was the beginning of creation, and he personally lifted it.
Swadam strayodritya mahim nimanyam sa uttita samruruche rasayah tatrapi detyam gudaya patantam sunabhasande pitate vramanyuhu.
Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksh, although he tried to fight with the Lord.
Jaghanarudhanam asahya vikramam salilayebham mrigaradivambhashi tadraktapankan kitagandatundo yatha gajindro jagatim vibhindan.
Thereupon Lord Boar killed the demon with the water, just like a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth.
Tamalaneelam sitadantakotya kshamam ukšipantam gajalilayanga prajnaya bandhan jalayonubake virinchi mukhya upatashthurisham.
Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamal tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord.
Okay, thank you so much. So, this is really extraordinary. In answer to prayers of the devotees, the Lord Varaha searched for the earth. So why did he take this form? It's a very unusual form, right? The form of a boar or pig. And of course, the pig is considered very dirty in this material world. It eats its own stool, etc. But this is where the Lord shows his greatness. He can appear in any species, and he's completely transcendental. He's not subjected to the three modes of material nature. He's not subjected to the material conditions because he's spiritual. So he shows that he can appear as a boar, but yet he's still perfect. And why did he appear as a boar? Because he's searching out the earth, and earth, the fragrance of the earth is unique. So the boar, he is guided by the sense of smell. So he's, as Varaha, he smelt the earth in the waters, in the ocean. And as boar, he had the tusks to actually rescue the earth. So this form of the Lord is very practical in what he wanted to achieve, which was the protection of the earth. So he smelled her out, and then he rescued her through the tusks on his head. And as a boar, he dove into the ocean, imitating the actions of a boar. After lifting the earth, he appeared splendid with her on his luminous tusks, following which he killed the demon Hiranyaksha. So this was all because of this demon, who actually was Jay or Vijay, one of the two in the spiritual world, having been cursed by the four Kumars to come into this world. So even the demons he fights with are actually devotees. So the Lord does nothing ordinary, he does everything extraordinary and perfect, of course. So now up to 45, please. Ananda Leela.
Yes, Babaji. Rishaya Uchuhu. Jitam jitam te jitayagya bhavana traim tanum swam paridhunvate namaha yadro magarte sunililyuradhayas tasmai namah karana sukharayate.
All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the hair holes of your body, the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of a boar.
Rupam tavaitannanu duskritatmanam dudarsanam devayat advaratmakam chandamsi yashva tvachibarhirumasva ajam drishitvanganritsu chaturotram.
O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in touch of your skin, but in your bodily hairs is the gush grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities.
Shaktundashishu vaisanasayor idodare chamasah karnarandre prashitramasye grasane grahastute yachcharvanam te bhagavan agnihotram.
O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice, your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice, and another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is the Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is a plate of sacrifice known as Som, and whatever you chew on is the Agni-dhotra.
Dikshanu janmo pasadah sirodharam त्वं प्रायणीयो दयनीयदंस्त्रः जिह्वा प्रवर्ग्यस्तव शीर्षकं क्रतुः सत्यावसत्यं चितयो सवोहिते.
Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearance is like the desire for all kinds of
Initiation.
Your neck is the place for three desires, and your tusks are a result of initiation, and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is the fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship, and your living forces are the aggregate of all desires.
सोमस्तुरेतः सवनानि अवस्थिते संस्था विभेदास्तव देव धातवः सत्राणि सर्वाणि शरीरासन्देस् त्वं सर्वयज्ञ क्रतुरिष्टि बन्धनः.
O Lord, your semen is the sacrifice called Soma Yajna. Your growth is the ritualistic performances of the morning. Your skin and touch sensations are the 7 elements of the Agnistom sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called Som and Asom, and you are bound by yajnas only.
नमो नमस्ते खिलमन्त्रदेवता द्रव्याय सर्वकृतवे क्रियात्मनि वैराग्यभक्त्यात्मजयानुभावित ज्ञानाय विद्या गुरवे नमो नमः.
O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind, freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of knowledge and devotional service.
दंस्त्राग्रकोट्या भगवंस्त्वया धृता विराजते भूधरभुः सबूधरा यथा वनानि सरतोदता धृता मतन् गजेन्द्रस्य सपत्रपद्मिनी.
O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower, with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water.
त्रयीमयं रूपम् इदं च सोकरं भूमण्डलेनाथ दत्ताधृतेन ते चकाष्टि शृङ्गोधघनेन भूयसा कुलाचलेन्द्रस्य यथैव विभ्रमः.
O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks.
संस्थापयेनां जगतां सतस्तु सां लोकाय पत्नीं सीमातरं पिता विधेम चास्यै नमसा सह त्वया यस्यां स्वतेजोऽग्निम् इवारणावधाः.
O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the arani wood.
कः श्रद्धधीतान्यतमस्तव प्रभो रसां गताया भुवोद्विबर्हनम् न विस्मयोऽसो त्वयि विश्वविस्मये यो माययेदं ससृजेति विस्मयम्.
Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation.
विधुन्वता वेदमयं निजं वपुर् जनस्तपः सत्यनिवासिनो वयं सतासिखोद्धुत शिवाम्बुबिन्दुभिर्विमृज्यमानाभ्रीशमीशपाविताः.
O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas, and Satyalokas, but still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body.
स वै बत भ्रष्टमतेस्तवै सते यः कर्मणां पारम् अपार कर्मणः यद्योगमाया गुणयोगमोहितं विश्वं समष्टं भगवन् विधेहि सम्.
O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the sage is glorified. The act has been done. The Lord, what he came to do, he's done. And now the sage is glorified, Lord Varaha, as the personified Vedas, and describe in detail how the ingredients of sacrifice are situated in his body. So we saw the different elements of his body and how the sages view those as ingredients situated in the body of the Lord. How that actually works is a little perplexing for us to understand, but we accept those words of the scripture, and even if we don't understand it, we don't let it get in the way. I think one thing we usually doubting Thomases in this world, and our doubt becomes so big that it stops us from making progress. One thing I've learned over the years, yes, there may be certain things which are a little uncertain, a little difficult to understand. Never let it get in the way, because if 90% makes sense, why let a little 10% get in the way? So there may be some questions which remain unanswered. That's fine. Wear those questions as a garland and seek opportunity whenever you can to get those questions answered, but never let it stop you. Never let the doubts overcome the desire for spiritual success. They glorify his pastimes of rescuing the earth as he holds up the earth like an elephant holding a lotus in his trunk. The sages feel purified by the water shaken upon them from his body. So the sages are very pure, but even they become purified simply by the water that's shaken from the body of the Lord. So you can just imagine the purity and the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. There is no limit to the Lord's wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of the Lord's activities is certainly nonsensical. Even the expansion of the first expansion is Balaram, and an expansion of Balaram is Anantashesh, who has who's a snake with 1,000 hoods, 1,000 mouths. And he's been glorifying the Lord since time immemorial. And yet he cannot find an end to the glories of the Lord. So it's impossible to find the limit of the Lord's activities. So if anybody wants to try to find the limit, it's nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow the Lord, as sages are praying to the Lord, please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. So the sages are really extraordinary. At the moment, we're going through the Saptarishis, and we're seeing how these Saptarishis actually guide humanity. They pray for the welfare of humanity. So we see here the sages of Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok. They're doing exactly the same. They're praying for us. This is their kindness. This is their open-heartedness. And this is where they've come from a place of selfishness to selflessness. So, and this is where we have to also aim to go, where we stop thinking about ourselves, we start thinking about others. And in that way, we ourselves become very protected by the Supreme Lord, because we are not seeking protection for ourselves. So he protects us himself. Even the devotee doesn't want any protection from the Lord, because he doesn't want to inconvenience the Lord in any way. But the Lord, of course, he's very affectionate to his devotees. He will come and personally protect. Prahlad Maharaj, he was harassed again and again by Hiranyakashipu, the brother of Hiranyaksha. But Prahlad just carried on with his bhajan. He never asked once to the Lord, help me, protect me, please, from this demon. He never asked, not even once. He simply was engaged in bhajan. But the Lord, again and again and again and again, kept coming, protecting him. So this is the beauty of these sages. They are asking for our protection. This is the kindness of these wonderful sages. Can't beat them. So now it's right to the end.
Maitreya uvacha iti upasthiyamanuso munibhir brahmavadibhihi salile swakhurakranta upadhatta vitavanim.
The sage Maitreya said, the Lord, being thus worshipped by all great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on water.
Sa itham bhagavan urvim vishvaksenah prajapatihi rasayalilayunitam absunasyayo harihi.
In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode.
Yaevametam harimethaso hare katham subhadram kathaniyamainaha Shanveta bhaktya shravayeta vosatim janardanosya suhrdi prashidati.
If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bor, which is worthy of description, the Lord, who is within the heart of everyone, is very pleased.
तस्मिन् प्रसन्ने सकलासि साम्प्रभो किं दुर्लभं ताभिरलं लवात्मभिः अनन्यदृष्ट्या भजतां गुहाशयः स्वयं विधत्ते स्वगतिं परः पराम्.
Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everybody's heart.
कुनामलोके पुरुषार्थसारवे पुरा कथानां भगवत्कथासुधाम् अपि अकर्णञ्जलिभिर्भवाम्पहाम् अहो विरज्येत विना नरेतरम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
Who, other than one who is not a human being, can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal in life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? Hare Krishna!
Hey, well done. Beautifully read, Shavi. I love the way you read. You put emotion into it, and it's very, very nice.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ananda Leela, as well. Very beautifully recited. So nice. Sorry, I made a little noise. I was getting into your chanting of the sloks. It was amazing. Thank you. Having placed the earth on the water, Lord Varaha returns to his abode. So his pastime was quite straightforward, although I think later on in the Bhagavatam or in another scripture, we hear how Lord Varaha actually had a little rest at Vishramghat in Mathura before he returned back to the spiritual world. But this was his main pastime. And in these pastimes, Machkach, Varaha, and Singha, the pastime is very inclusive in this, or exclusive. It doesn't involve much more than what he came to do. But in later pastimes, like Pashuram and Ram, Krishna, it becomes very inclusive. He includes so many different pastimes within his activities. Anyway, having placed the earth on the water, Lord Varaha returns to his abode. By hearing this pastime, letting others hear it, the Lord is pleased and one gains transcendental knowledge. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. So that's our aim, right? Whatever we're trying to do, we're trying to please the Lord. Please be satisfied with our activities. Let us help others. Let us try to bring others to spirituality in some form or other. It's not a question of forcing anybody. It's just a question of trying to alert them to their real mother and father. And that is done through compassion and love. This is what these great spiritual masters do. They give themselves completely. They give themselves completely to helping others. And somehow if we can catch a little bit of that desire of helping others to come closer to the Lord, that in itself pleases the Lord so much. You don't have to do anything else. There's no separate endeavor to do anything to please the Lord. Simply help others to get close to the Lord. That is more than enough. The Lord becomes so pleased. And then if the Lord is pleased, it doesn't matter what happens. We don't care. He can destroy this body, but it will be destroyed one day. It's already dead because it's only made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So But if we can please the Lord, then our life is successful. We've fulfilled the purport of our existence. And that's what we're trying to do. So I'd like to stop there. Surinder, anything you'd like to add, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat to all the devotees. Sri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham. Jai Sri Sri Lakshmi Varahadev ki Jai. Jai Sri Sri Lakshmi Nashingadev ki Jai. Jai Guru Dev Vaishnava Vrin ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanandi. Yes. So there is one verse from Prapanajamritam about surrender to the Lord, and I'll read the translation, which is as follows. The various tribulations of the unsurrendered souls are simply due to their obsession with the unreal. O Lord, as long as the people of the world do not take the safe and sound shelter of your lotus feet, they remain full of anxiety about their wealth, their bodies, and their friends, overwhelmed with lamentation, hankering, obsession, and intense greed. They cannot obtain relief from the suffering which is deeply rooted in their imaginary conceptions of I and mine. So in this way, it's summarized like all these, if we lead our life in a gross materialistic concept, on the basis of I am this body, the concept of I, me, and mine, then we get absorbed in this materialistic concept of life, and we are not able to properly act in a devotional service. The whole point is to surrender and always act in devotional service to Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, like that. So there is another verse by Rupa Goswami Maharaj. The cause of the Lord's protectiveness is his mercy alone. O destroyer of sin, my heart is averse to a trace of devotion, and it burns in the fire of hopelessness when I hear about the incomparable, formidable devotional services rendered by the great predecessor devotees. But now that I have heard about the wave of your mercy, which floods the universe, the core of my heart, sprinkled by a drop of hope, is soothed with cooling relief once again. Yeah, like that, the predecessor devotees, the Leelas, the sages, how they are praying for our welfare to the Lord. This is very good mood. We say there is a prayer, Vishwambhara Vishwera Kalyana. So this is a general way. Like if our family members are devotees of Krishna, then we have the opportunity to serve the devotees of Krishna. So we shall relate not only like this is my son, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my daughter, in that like in a mundane identifying way, but rather we should see everyone as Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnara Nitya Das, 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 Anudas. That we all spirit soul, servant of Shri Krishna, Krishna's servant, like that. So it's in this way, Bhakata Sevaya Paramasiddhi, we should serve the Vaishnavas. At least we should try. And then in a general way, Vishwambhara Vishwera Kalyana, our mood and prayer is that Vishwambhara Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Vishwera, the whole world, they all, everyone, Kalyana, that Gauranga Mahaprabhu will bestow his mercy and auspiciousness upon one and all. In this way, then there will be no envy towards any living entity. There is no question of having some inimical feelings towards any other person, because we ultimately become an ever well-wisher. Like His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, whenever he was his ending part of his letters, he always used to write, "Your ever well-wisher." And he is indeed our real well-wisher to one and all, like that. Yes.
Very
So,
good. Yes.
yes, there is another one now.
Mhm.
It says the supreme magnanimity of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Deva. Alas, alas, how will the charming, wish-fulfilling creeper of pure devotion ever sprout from the desperately barren plains of my consciousness? Despite my predicament, just one great hope awakens in my heart. By chanting the name of Sri Chaitanya Deva, nothing can remain to be lamented for by anyone at any time. This prayer was recited by Prabodhananda Saraswati. Nitai Gaura Haribol Prabhu, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing. Very, very nice. Okay, that's good. So we can stop there. Appreciate Ananda Leela, beautifully recited again, as always.
Krishna Prabhu, all grace of Shri Guru and Gauranga, and I apologize for my mistakes.
No, amazing. And Surinder for a wonderful contribution as well. Thank you very much. So let me just stop there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.